Kyle from Secular Talk did a great segment on whether or not Joe Rogan could be responsible for Trump getting elected. Let's watch some highlights and discuss.
The day before the election, Joe Rogan endorsed Trump. Did that actually have an impact on the election? That's my question for you. Well, we got this video. This is totally random. This is totally random. This is on one of the news channels on MSNBC. Interviews being done with people waiting in line. Listen to this.
Masculine identity. We've actually been hearing a lot of talk about the Rogan podcast, Joe Rogan podcast. In fact, a little while ago, we were talking to two guys. One of them said that he was on the fence until he said when Kamala did not go on the Joe Rogan podcast, that was what influenced his vote. He ended up voting for Trump, but he said that he was open to listening to Kamala on the podcast, and when she didn't, again, not necessarily all the issues, but the fact that he said she didn't seem like a real person because she couldn't talk for an extended period of time.
We are literally talking about extremely low information voters. Hey, I was on the fence, but Trump went on, and therefore now I'm going to vote for Trump. It's like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. So, like, you didn't consider policy at all?
Most Trump voters do not consider policy. They vote based on their feelings. The ones that vote on policy are usually the ones that are rich and know Trump will lower their taxes even more. Trump won voters without a college degree overwhelmingly.
So did he have an impact on the election? Look, I think he probably did. I think he did. And you also got to call a spade. That interview that Rogan did with him was a hot stone massage. Right? He didn't ask any serious questions about policy, about his crimes, none of it. So you sit there and play patty cakes with the guy for 3 hours, and oh, would you look at that? You humanized him. That's the exact thing Rogan said years before when he was asked if he'd interview Trump. That's the exact thing he said. I worry about that. I don't want to humanize him because I don't know all the ins and outs of the allegations of the corruption against him and the war crimes he did and all the problems, and I'm not the guy. I don't have the tools. Well, Joe, the chickens have come home to roost now, haven't they? So we'll see what happens from here. But my guess is, if Joe is being honest, big if, then moving forward, there's going to be plenty of things Trump does that he's like, ooh, ugh, I don't know about that one, dog. And we'll see now if he bothers to say it, or if, you know, the transformation is so completely and utterly and thoroughly complete that now criticizing Trump is out of bounds.
I think Rogan will admit he was wrong when Trump starts to do terrible things. Joe often says he has no idea what he's talking about. I believe Joe endorsed Trump based on his feelings about their interaction without considering the actual policy. Let me know what you think down in the comments.
This was Joe. Just a few years ago. This is the sort of stuff he was saying on his podcast, and this is the guy who eventually ended up endorsing Trump. Watch this.
I really believe if Michelle Obama runs,
she wins.
She's good. She's great. She's the wife of the best president that we have had in our lifetime. I've never voted right-wing in my life. I consider universal basic income a really good idea. I want free college education.
Take it easy.
Hello, Bernie.
How are you, Joe?
Wonderful. Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I like Tulsi and I like Bernie. That's it.
Oh, yeah?
Everybody else can eat shit.
Look at you, fucking progressive.
Yeah. I think I'll probably vote for Bernie. I think he's looking out for the interests of the working people. And I think he wants people to have a better life and do better. And I'm all for that. And if that means I have to pay more in tax, like people think, oh, you're a socialist. I've heard people say that. Oh, you're a fucking socialist, bro. Like, first of all, he's not even a socialist. He's a democratic socialist. It's a different thing. I would like to spend more in taxes if they could fix inner city communities and take these poor neighborhoods and throw a fuckload of spend more, you fucking Republican piece of shit. 87% of scientists said that human activity is driving global warming. I'm very pro-choice. I'm very women's rights, civil rights, gay rights, trans rights. I'm even universal health care. Obviously, this protected status is driving me crazy. This thing that Trump's doing with children that were born in other countries and then brought over here as children, and then they're talking about deporting them. That drives me fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's scary.
And the hard right version of that is despicable. These people that I see online, why didn't they apply for citizenship? Oh, who knows? Maybe because they're fucking 13. I don't give a fuck if they broke the law. You don't take parents and kids and separate them. You just fucking don't. You know Lonzo?
No, who's that?
A funny comedian.
Yeah.
He goes, not all Donald Trump supporters are racist, but all racists are Donald Trump supporters.
He definitely awakened that side.
But the January 6th thing is important.
See, it is important, but is it the 6 months later? It should be the ruling number one conversation of journalists?
I think it's really important. And one of the reasons why I think it's important because it highlights the reasons why a guy like Donald Trump is so fucking dangerous. Is because a guy can incite a bunch of morons to do something really fucking stupid. As far as trans people, some trans people listening to this, I got nothing but love for you. For everybody. And in fact, Eddie Izzard is one of my all-time favorite guests.
Oh, I love Izzard.
The right-wing thing is just an easy way to dismiss me because I'm not right-wing. I can't recommend your book, Race Matters, enough.
Apparently, the right-wing thing was not an easy way to dismiss him. He ended up endorsing the far-right candidate, right? Look, I hate to say it, but the criticisms of him were correct. The people who were really harsh on him when I was easier on him, no, he's a good guy. He means well. He's trying his best. He's advocating good ideas. You guys are just hyper-focusing on the times when he says the wrong things. And he ended up endorsing the guy who stands against virtually everything he claims to believe in, right? And because of his humanization of Trump, because of his patty cakes interview with Trump, it had the exact effect that Joe himself feared it could have. Humanized him enough where it got him more votes. And look, what I would say to Joe is this video here is heavy on policy. Where was all that talk with Trump? Where was the homework you were supposed to do to learn about what this guy actually did, right? Nothing serious came up.
No matter how you feel about Trump or Rogan, you have to respect Kyle for this honest breakdown. The truth is, he probably burnt any chance he had of ever getting back on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Under Democrats, 50 million people got health care. Under Trump, 3 million people lost health care. Nobody cares. It didn't matter. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's having the conversation. Nobody's pointing out the facts. Nobody's educating people. They're sitting around shooting the shit and giggling with the boys, right? And the end result of that was what? People ended up supporting a literal fascist, right? Look, you can say that sounds hyperbolic. At this point, it's not hyperbolic remotely. The facts are the facts. The guy tried to overturn the last election. He tried to do an insurrection. He tried to do a coup. He did the fraudulent elector slates. He tried to force Mike Pence to reject the results of the election. When Mike Pence didn't, a crowd was chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," and Trump said he deserved it. Trump knew the election wasn't stolen. He knew it. He called it crazy himself. He said to Mike Pence, "Mike, you're too honest," when he tried to get him to overthrow the election, and Pence said no. This is the guy that we're dealing with. This is the guy that we're dealing with. Never mind Rogan claims he's anti-war. Trump is massively pro-war. Rogan claims he's pro-free speech. Trump is massively anti-free speech. Don't take my word for it. Look at their record. We've covered it a million times on this channel. So is he responsible for it? Did he help get Trump elected? Yeah, I think it's undeniable. Based on just that anecdotal stuff and based on Trump gaining in virtually every demographic group, including younger people, I think he probably did.
Joe Rogan's audience is mostly 18 to 34 years old, and the podcast with Trump has over 47 million views. Trump performed much better with this demographic than he did in 2020 and 2016. I think it's safe to say the softball interview where Joe basically coddled Trump's balls for 3 hours did have some impact on the final result.
We gotta look, I'm sorry, we gotta hold people responsible. Joe's a grown-ass man. He claims to have this ideology that I just played in this video for you here, and then he endorses Trump. That's a contradiction, right? It's one or the other. Either you're lying now or you were lying then, right? That's it. That's all there is. Or you had some sort of, not evolution, de-evolution. You went the wrong way. You went the wrong direction because, whatever. The vibes, bro, or he's like, Trump is kind of like a comedian and he's funny, bro, or he was able to have a conversation and Kamala didn't want to, bro. Like, really? This is the kind of stuff we're going to decide the future of the country on? Really? All right, I got one more for you. I just wanted to play this for you too. This is how Rogan used to talk about Trump back in the day.
Incredible about that guy is that, I'm saying even when you watch him as president, he was full of energy.
Full of it.
Every day. And they say he slept for like 4 hours a night. He's one of those people.
He's on Adderall.
God.
You think he's on Adderall?
Yes, I do. Only because there were multiple people who used to work on The Apprentice that were like, he was gassed up for shoots.
Really?
Yeah, because he has trouble reading. He would struggle to read prompter or script when he was just let's say sober. So they would give him that, and he would dial in more on reading because he gets very bored. They said, he would get bored at the CIA briefing in the mornings. He was like, I don't want to read that. There's a daily briefing you get as president. He's like, you read it and then tell me. And if it's bored, so they would have to make it more engaging for him because he would. Just
I heard
tap
that they
out.
would put his name in briefings multiple times to keep him interested.
And then Kushner, his son-in-law, said that he came up with a formula to keep him engaged.
Kushner did?
Yes, because he obviously was close to him and knew him well, and the formula was like 2 good, 1 bad. So if they were going to give him bad news, they could go, you start with some good news. So they go, this is going well, everybody's thrilled with you about this. Here's a bad thing. Also, people love you for this. So that's how they would tell him bad news. They couldn't just go, here's a bunch of bad news.
Of course.
Yeah.
He's a man baby.
He's a toddler. Yeah, he's a toddler.
That's how he used to talk about Trump before he came on his podcast.
Less than 3 years ago, Joe clearly hated Trump. I've never had that experience where you hate someone so much and then suddenly develop a liking for them. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Joe's 180.
I'm telling you, it's going to get real ugly real quick. Now, they'll probably just ignore it and not talk about the negative things, but we will, right? We will. Within 6 months, people will be like, wait a second, I fucking hate Donald Trump. And then they'll be at a crossroads, right, in this podcast sphere. Do we keep fucking riding his nuts, or do we start telling the truth? And I don't know what the answer to that is, but certainly right now, the trajectory is not looking good.
Fingers crossed that Trump does some good things and doesn't rob the country blind. Only time will tell. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this type of content, please like and subscribe or consider becoming a channel member.